Hi, I'm Sergeant Speak from Earthwalker Primitives. Welcome to another video. Got something different going on here than what I'm usually always doing. I'm going to go on a little bit of a scout today. I haven't done too many scout videos, but now with it being autumn in my area here, I'm not used to walking around in it where everything's so visible and easy to find. So I decided to take some time today and just walk around my area, see what I can find out there, and take you along with me while I do that. So I'm going to be covering a lot of basics today. Basically all I'm going to do is adopt the hunter-gatherer method and just go out here and find everything I can that's useful to me. It could be a big help to me for any kind of survival situation or a self-reliance situation. So it's going to involve everything from primitive tools, tools from trash, finding things that are useful for me or I can have uses for, and also some wild edibles and anything I see. I'm just going to take a nice long walk around all the area and just observe and take in everything I can. So it's probably going to be split over a couple videos. So there'll probably be a series of these out there because it's going to be a long day for me. I'm going to take my time and I'll get done a lot of stuff. I packed light. All I did was brought some water for some tea today and my blades and my fire kit. That's all. Excuse me. That's all I brought with me today. That's what my focus is, just getting out here and doing a walkthrough, doing a terrain walk and finding what I can, and especially going to be doing a lot of primitive tools. One thing I do want to say about primitive tools: a lot of people will scorn people, and I've had a couple people comment on some of the stuff I do. And calling it primitive tools and primitive survival. A lot of people, when they hear primitive tools and primitive survival, they get locked into that mind frame of actually being primitive, as in Stone Age or Bronze Age or Iron Age or something like that, or Native American. You're right, that is primitive technology. But when I speak of primitive technology and primitive tools, I'm not specifically trying to go back into history and pinpoint a certain area or certain people. A lot of people have a problem not doing that. And when you talk about primitive technology, yes, there were time periods, but in this sense of learning bushcraft and learning survival, you got to get rid of the history. You got to forget about the time periods of history and trying to associate something with that. Primitive technology is simply using what you have with you and out there and that you find on the ground, wherever, and accomplishing a task or a goal or using a skill. Yes, if I go out here and find a bucket that was made 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago and left out here in the woods, yes, it's not a primitive item, but being able to take that bucket that I found out here in the wild and use it for 10, 15 different uses out here in the woods, that is a primitive skill, because I am gathering and I'm hunting for tools and equipment, gathering stuff and using it, improvising and using it. So when I speak about primitive technology, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to preach history or teach history or say, oh, from this time period or these people from this area did this. I'm specifically talking about going out here as a primitive person, gathering all your supplies and using what you have and making do with what you got out here. So that's what we're going to go over a lot today in this video. It's coming out here, finding what we have and using what we have to do everything we need to survive and maintain our own lives out here in the woods. To me, that is what true primitive, if we want to call it modern primitive technology is, and skills are, being able to come out here and no matter what it is you find, being able to turn it around into a useful tool. So stick with me. I'm going to go ahead and drink my tea and I'll wake up and get ready for today and get this show on the road.
Now, unfortunately, almost everywhere in the world that you go now these days, you will find trash and remains of a human presence. And even some of the most remote places, you know, either explorers been there, trappers, hunters, cartographers, somebody, military, somebody has been there, and there's almost always, with no doubt, you know, remains of trash in existence especially metal. Metal outlives a lot of stuff, so now I might be close to civilization like I am in my camp, but still this is something that could be easily found anywhere in the world. Just got a piece of metal here now. I could easily use this as a cooking service, or if I had the means or want to spend the time to bust it up, I could actually make it into tools, make it into knives, make a machete out of it, something like that. But one thing I'm thinking about, a good use for this is a heat shield. This is obviously very thin metal. I can bend it and form it around, so I'm actually going to be taking this to my camp and using this as a heat shield for my fire. So definitely a couple good uses out of that. Alright, now it's November where I'm at right now, and it's very warm November, but even still late in the year, you'll see little plants like this growing. Looks almost like a little miniature scallion, because this is a wild onion or wild garlic. Grows in a lot of sunny areas. This area here, it's got an opening, so the sun hits this area, so there's a good bit of this growing all around here. But just lives right underneath the surface there. You got these little bulbs. Look very much like a little tiny miniature green onion or scallion, which are completely edible. One thing about wild onions, you eat a lot of them, they will make you stink. But as you can see here, they're getting it's a little bit late in the season, so these might be starting to die out. But there's a couple bulbs there, and which are edible. You can even cook them in with any food, other food that you find, especially find any meat. Definitely would season up. One thing to remember when you are looking for, if you think you found some wild onions, one thing you want to remember is if you find a white bulb, you pick this up out of the ground, you think it might be a wild onion or a wild garlic. If you break it open and it doesn't smell like an onion, then don't eat it. There's a lot of stuff out there with white bulbs that will look like wild onions or wild garlic, but indeed it won't smell like a wild onion or garlic. Just from digging this up, I definitely have a real strong odor of onion, so I know this is safe to eat, plus I've eaten this before, so it's a little quick edible there. They live long into the seasons, so and they're usually all around. I'm in Pennsylvania, so in this area I always have plenty of this available. Now I really wish it wasn't fall so I could better demonstrate this, but if you notice, got a lot of these big huge vines growing in this area. This is something you'll see worldwide. Most other than your Arctic and your extremely hot desert, but most woodland areas, green areas, you'll see this plant growing all over the place. Big viney vine. This is wild grapevine. And these things will grow along the ground, out of the ground, and they'll go way up in the trees. You see, wrapping all over the place. They love to go high. These are a great source of water during the spring, and during the summer, into the beginning of fall. Right now, it would be ineffective to use it, being it's November. Most sap has stopped running in most plants. But what you would do, as you see this vine right here, coming out of the ground right here, and running up this tree, what you would want to do is cut about 6 feet up, 5 to 6 feet up off the ground. You would want to make a cut, and you're going to put a water collection device at the end of your cut here. Like if I were to cut, let's get this one right here. Say I were to cut this one here, I would put something to collect water in here, because the water is going to retreat back from the vine. But once that's done, that's done. Now I'm going to take the piece that I did cut, bring it down to the ground, and stick that into another bucket or a bag or something to collect water. This plant's going to start sucking up a lot more water because it knows it's been cut, so it wants to heal itself and continue to grow. So it's going to pump out a lot more water. Now eventually, obviously, that cut, where you cut it, is going to seal up. It's going to stop dripping out water. Well, all you would have to do is go down a couple more inches, make another cut again, and then once again put that cut back into your bag or your water collection container, and you can continue doing that. Each time you make a cut, that plant's just going to keep on pumping more and more water. And during the spring and during the summer, these things suck up a lot of water. It's a great way to get some filtered water. I'm definitely got to remember in the summer, next summer, to go ahead and do a video on it. But I wish it wasn't fall so I could show you that. But it's definitely a good place to get some fresh, clean, filtered water. Once again, I'll just give you a couple more shots of some of these wild grapevines. See, that's a huge one over there. They grow right out of the ground and quickly right to a tree and take on up. Obviously, something you're going to find everywhere is glass bottles. Obvious reasons they're a great find for water storage, food storage, boiling water. You could boil them out and clean them out and sterilize them, but even if you got one like this where you're like, wow, I don't have the means to clean it out well, even keeping it to break it up and use the glass as cutting tools, arrowheads, spearheads, whatnot. Just a whole ton of stuff that you can use this for. Obviously here's a little critter hole, but you can tell by the fact that it's full of leaves and debris that there's nobody down there living. Animals do like to keep their entrances clean. Not to mention you would see all these leaves pushed aside where he would come in and out. Also you would see a lot of scat around the area. A lot of animals like to let themselves go before they go into their hole. So definitely something you want to look out for if you do see animal holes where a lot of scuff marks, a lot of dig marks, fresh dirt, scat, food particles sitting around. There's definitely a food source in there. But obviously you can see that this one is definitely vacant and no one's living in there. Left behind by a hunter. 1, you're an idiot for littering. 2, you're an idiot for forgetting your stuff. 3, you left a great find for somebody. Okay, a helpful word of advice that could save your life. I want you to take a look at this area that I'm standing in. This is definitely not an area that you would want to hang out in. Passing through, one thing. Make it a camp or hanging out, sleeping, trying to live, definitely not a good idea. There's someone's deadfall, whole trees falling, whole trees leaning. Trees hanging. This place is just full of widowmakers, and it's prevalent by all the stuff on the ground. And I'll tell you what, I was out here a little bit ago, a couple of weeks ago, before we had a real bad windstorm, and it wasn't even this much blown down. So, don't want to get in a survival situation, fighting for your life, and then get taken out by a widowmaker in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. So, run to an area like this, stay clear. Go find an area where you don't see too much deadfall, or a clear area.